Holy Land, and thank you to the organizers of African Creators Conference, rather. Thank you so much. I was just talking with someone just behind a couple of minutes ago, and we're talking about how conferences like this are very important to creators, not only for networking, but for us to be able to rub minds, grow together, because the industry is becoming bigger, it's becoming broader, it's becoming wider. So the need for this becomes more expansive, more extensive. So thank you so much for this platform. I cannot say gather your village people here now, just in videos. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to do a practical masterclass session where I'm going to show you a couple of things in filmmaking, both for documentary style filmmaking and general content creation. And at the end of the masterclass, it is my hope that perhaps a couple of things that were mythical or mysterious to you would be a lot clearer when we are done. Okay? Now, by way of starting, I want to establish that the most important thing or the most important element in filmmaking is story. That's a no-brainer. There is no film without a story. Every film, be it a feature film, a documentary film, whatever it is derived from a story. So the most important element to filmmaking is story. But filmmaking is broken into different branches. There are different areas and departments in filmmaking. And in those departments, you have the cinematography department, you have the makeup, you have the set design, you have the script. So many departments in the filmmaking industry. But today we're going to focus primarily on cinematography. Now in cinematography, what a lot of us in this part of the world confuse for cameraman, right? A lot of us here think that a cinematographer is a cameraman, which is not so. But it is largely because the cinematographer handles everything that has to do with the visual components of the film. Anything at all that has to do with the visual output, the visual outlay of the film is the job of the cinematographer. So it becomes kind of tricky to separate the cinematographer from the camera, but they are two different things. So when you see a film and you see DOP, same as cameraman. As a matter of fact, most DOPs and most professional directors of photography and cinematographers don't even touch the camera. They don't handle the camera. So what do? They make sure all of the elements, intricate elements to telling the visual story of the film is in order. So the cinematographer works with the set designer to put the set in order. He works with the gaffer to make sure the lights are right. He works with every other single department within the production crew that is responsible for the visual storytelling of the film. Okay? Now, the most important element in cinematography, which I'm going to share with you before we get into the practical, I'm going to share it because in this room here are content creators, I believe. In this room, we have people who create content with their phones, with cameras and whatnot. You may be a smartphone videographer, you capture events, you have clients that you work with and all of that. Now, whilst you might not be fully a cinematographer, you handle the camera. So it becomes important for you to learn how the camera works, the intricacies of the camera to help uplift your work as a videographer generally. Now, what is the most important element in cinematography? The most important element in cinematography is light. Now, at first glance, you might think that the most important element in cinematography is the camera, right? But it is not. So, I get this a lot of the times when I consult for content creators and companies. A lot of the times when they come to me, what they first ask is, what camera should we buy? The camera our media guys are using are not so good. The pictures, the videos are not coming out so good. So tell us, what cameras should we buy for it to be better? And I often would tell them that if I recommend a camera for you and you give it to those same people You'll come back to me again to ask for a higher camera to give to those same people again. And they'll still give you the same result. The simple reason for that is the camera is not the most important element in cinematography. Light is the most important element. So what it means is, a person who has mastered lighting can film with an iPhone X and get better results than someone who has not mastered lighting that's filming with a Sony FX3. I can tell you that with full confidence. But why is light so important? See, to understand technology, you first have to understand where technology is derived from. Every single piece of technology you see around the world today is drawn from nature. The design of the airplane looks like what? The bird. The design of submarines, like whales in the ocean. Every single piece of technology you see is drawn out of nature. So what is the camera drawn out of? The camera is drawn out of your eyes. So how does your eyes work? Technically, you are blind. You can't see. Your eyes do not see. As I'm standing here now, your eyes are not seeing me. Your eyes can only see light. But your eyes work with your brain to interpret that light into an image. So it means, therefore, that your eyes can be as open as anything in this world, and you will not be able to see. That's why you can see some persons that are blind. You see their pupil, you see their eyes, it's open, sharp, but they can't see because there's a disconnect. So the camera only sees light. But in the camera, there's something called an image. There's, first of all, the image sensor. Then there's also what is called the image processor. Now, the image sensor gets the light, transmits that light to the image processor. Then the image processor creates the image. So the image is not what the camera sees. The image is what the camera produces with what you give it, what it sees. So the image is only an end product. It therefore means that if you miss it with lighting, you have already missed your picture or your video. It's already gone. No matter the quality of camera you're working with. If you give an Arri Alexa, it's extremely expensive. If you give an Arri Alexa to someone who doesn't know lighting to film, and he films, you'll film rubbish. So even as a content creator, you need to master light. And when we talk about lighting, we're not talking about turning on light and making everywhere bright. Lighting is an art. Lighting is so much an art that a particular lighting technique was named after a famous artist, Rembrandt. So it's an art form. The reason why when you turn on that your ring light, your video still look bad, is not essentially because the ring light is bad, it's because you've not mastered lighting. And it's not for you to change phone. I know some of you are already feeling like, this is my iPhone 16, this 17 that just came out now. If only I can just buy it. Nobody's video in this internet will reach me. Go and buy it first. When you buy it, you'll be waiting for the next one. So lighting is crucial, even as a content creator. And one of the content creators I like to watch the most is Disney. Simply because of what he does with light. Whilst every other person will just carry phone and shoot whatever they want with their content and whatnot, Disney is deliberate with his lighting. And you see the difference in the quality of what he produces. I know he might not be as big as Sabinus, but he has better quality than Sabinus. No shades, but it's a fact. As a creator, if you're a filmmaker or whatnot, you understand what I'm talking about. The quality of what he produces is better. So my job today is first to show you a couple of things about lighting that you can implement in your work as a creator. that can help you. A couple of things here and there that you can implement. With minimalistic lighting, no, forget this, even this softbox is a cheap one. I deliberately brought this because if I bring aperture now, content creators will start shouting when you hear price of aperture and all of that. But these are minimalistic lights that you can easily access and work with. Like I said, lighting is an art. So you don't just spread light. You don't just turn on your light and expect that it's going to give you good quality. There are a couple of things you have to consider when you're lighting a subject. And these things are basically widely known as lighting techniques. Photographers and videographers know it. It's a no-brainer. It's nothing really too complex or too serious. And if you know it as a content creator, it's game on for you. So, the most popular lighting technique, which is what we're going to show now, what I'm going to show you right now, the most popular lighting technique everybody knows, 3-point lighting. If you've not heard it before, you're hearing it now. 3-point lighting. And just as the name is, 3-point lighting is a lighting technique that uses 3 lights. So you'll be asking yourself, how can you be using 3 lights to light just one person? With the light not overshadow, what kind of lighting is that? Is it not too much? I tell you, it's even small. I promise you it's small. But the most general lighting technique is 3-point lighting. So the first light of the tree is your key light. Your key light is your main light. And it is the light usually with the highest intensity. The other lights are not to be as bright as the key light. So you have your key light. Now, lighting, the different lighting techniques are defined by the positioning of the light. That's just what defines the different lighting techniques, the positioning of the light. So for the 3-point lighting, you have your key light. Now the key light is not positioned directly in front of your subject, because some of you creators, I know that's how you create your videos. You just turn on your light, stand in front of the light with your camera, and you zoom in, push, okay? Now, whilst that is also a lighting technique, that lighting technique is called flat lighting. But the problem with the flat lighting technique is this. The flat lighting technique is produces a one-dimensional image. So it's flat, there is no drama, there's nothing at all, it's just there. Whilst the 3-point lighting produces a 3-dimensional image, it creates a separation between the highlights and the shadows, that's one. And then it creates a separation between the subject and the background. So the subject is distinct from the background. Okay, and I'm going to show you how all of that works now. So your key light is positioned not directly in front of your subject, but at a 45-degree angle, slightly to the left or to the right, depending on what you want. That one is your choice. So to the left or to the right of your subject. Now the light is supposed to be above the eye line of your subject. What's the eye line of your subject? The eye. That's just what eye line is. So you push the light a little above the eye line of your subject, and then you tilt it downwards towards your subject. Help me raise this just a little more. Yeah, that's okay. Good. Then tilt. So I think of all of these lights, the only one that is expensive small is this one. It's not that expensive, but it's just small. I don't know, but it's small. This one is less than 50K. This one. The back, this one too, turn it off first. This one too is less than 50K. Yeah. Now, the intensity of this light is at 50%. I don't like to crank it up too much so that you don't lose the softness of the light on your subject. If it becomes too intense, you lose the softness. Now, when you position the light to the side of your subject, what that invariably does is it creates a separation on the face of your subject. One side will be brighter than the other side. So on this side, you see she's well lit. But on this side, you see shadow. Right? There's some shadow here. That's already a 2-dimensional image. There's a fade, a blend between the highlights and the shadows on her face, which creates some kind of drama already in your video. Okay? Now, this is you're learning here today. I would advise when you get home, even if you don't have big lights, the small ones you have, try to use them, put them together to practice it. You see how much better your videos will become. So, there is shadow on this side of our face, and this side is well lit, right? Now, that takes us to the next light that is called the fill light. Fill, fill light. The job of the fill light is to fill some light, soft light, on this side of our face that is dark. Because what we are trying to achieve is not that we're trying to make this place completely dark. We're only trying to create contrast, a fade between the bright point and the dark point on her face. So what we need to do now is to give some light to this side of the face, but it should be very little and soft, so that it should be very soft. And the reason for that is we don't lose completely. We want it to remain there, but we want we don't want the camera to think, oh, this place is completely dark. Because when you now go into your editing software, maybe you want to color grade and whatnot, all that the software will be seeing is darkness here. So to avoid that, we're going to give her some light on this side. But it has to be very soft on this side. Now, what that does is, this place is not yet as bright as this point yet. It's still a bit dark, but it is properly blended with the brighter point of her face. Are you getting me? I hope so. Now we have somewhat of a two-dimensional image. You can stop here if you want to, but if you want to take it a step further, you can now turn on a backlight. Now, the backlight is positioned two ways. You can position the backlight directly behind your subject if the subject is big enough to hide the light. If your subject is high and you put backlight behind your subject, if the subject shifts head, the camera will see the light and then it will become... So, you use the backlight directly behind your subject if the subject is going to be able to cover the light. Another option is to position your backlight above your subject, just the way these lights are positioned now, for example. They can be directed in such a way that they will cast light behind her. Now, when I turn on the backlight, what you're going to notice, the backlight is also called hair light, especially for ladies. When you make videos, those of you with flowing hair and all of that, when you make videos, if you don't use a backlight, your hair submerges into the background. It is not distinct. It submerges into the background. For example, like this now. Aside these lights that are casting small lights, these are my ball lights now that are casting lights here. Even though we say they should help us off it. But then again, let's just go. So, aside that, you will see that her hair is not really standing out. There is no outline. There is no separation between her and her background just yet. When we turn on the backlight, you see what creates behind her. Now, so behind her now, if you position it in a way that it is not seen, what you see is, you see an outline on her side, from her hair downwards all the way around her, creating a distinct separation between her and the background. Whatever you decide to do in the background, let's say you decide to add a background light or you decide to add any other thing in the background, what happens now is that the camera is able to understand that this person is different from the background. So you've created a three-dimensional image. Now these are little things. They're things that unless you are shown, you might not really be able to notice, but they add quality to the image. Now, imagine if all we did was, we turn all of these off, and then all we had was light just casting on her face. You have nothing really dramatic. There's nothing really telling a story in the lighting. Right? Now, that is 3-point lighting. There are other dramatic lighting techniques that you can try, especially if you make videos that tell stories. You see, just like I said before, lighting is an art. It communicates, it tells the story. Every lighting technique has its purpose. It's not just there for being there. So when you see a movie, you see that lighting is different for each scene. They don't just light flat. They use different lighting techniques. When someone is sad, when someone is lonely and feeling downcast, there's a certain kind of lighting technique that pushes that story and subconsciously communicates the emotion of that moment to you, the audience. So now, there's another dramatic lighting technique called the split lighting. So for those of you who tell stories, it's a very dramatic lighting technique. Maybe your content is story related. You can use it. Let's say, for example, you're telling a suspense-filled story, a story that is intense and whatnot. You use this kind of lighting technique. And just like I said before, the different lighting techniques is just about moving the light around. So how do you achieve split lighting? You just move the light, your key light especially. And split lighting is a lighting technique that divides your subject completely into two, right in the middle. So, if I move this light to the side, you continue to move it, if you've not yet mastered it, of course. You move it until you get a perfect, just look forward, separation. See, right at the middle here, you see a separation. This side is completely dark. This side is dark. This side is bright. Now, if you capture a video with this, maybe a storytelling video, something that is intense and whatnot, it communicates the emotion of the story more than when you use flat lighting. So this is split light. And of course, I know a lot of you already know silhouette lighting. Or you have forgotten, put your hand on my shoulder. You are pretending now. You are pretending. So that one, we have all learned it. We learned it by force. Abi? You don't know it? Okay. So silhouette lighting is a lighting technique where you shoot against the light. Now, all these other ones, the light is in front or on the side of the subject. With silhouette lighting, for example, we place the light behind the subject, facing the camera. But it doesn't end there. To achieve it at maximum capacity, you have to now go into your exposure in your camera. Drop down your exposure. Drop your ISO, your shutter speed, your aperture, depending if you're using a camera. But if you're not using a camera, if you're using iPhone and you're not using a third-party camera app, just that slider, that line, just draw it down. Now you draw it down until all you can see is the outline of your subject. Then you've achieved silhouette lighting. It's very, very simple. Okay, so before I leave, I would like to recommend something, because a lot of you content creators, you film your contents by yourself, right? Some of you turn on your camera, you film, and then you shoot by yourself, nobody with you. Now, it becomes imperative that you use gadgets that help you minimize time. So you're not wasting your time reshooting because you didn't frame properly. That's where things like monitors come in. You get a small monitor that you can work with, and with the monitor you can get maybe a transmitter, like what he talked about, the transmitters he mentioned, the Holy Land transmitters and whatnot. I have a set of them, but that's basically because I do bigger productions and whatnot. But even for your personal productions, if you have a monitor, you have your camera positioned, your monitor can face you, and you can see exactly what your camera is seeing with ease. The only other option to having that is if you're using an iPhone and you have an iWatch, you can preview your shot from the watch whilst you're seated. But it's imperative, right, that you invest in getting the right gadgets that can help you. You mustn't get a camera if you're a content creator. I even advise, you're a content creator, why are you looking for 2 million naira to go and buy a camera? What are you using it for? Unless you are a filmmaker, you're invested in filmmaking. Even as a filmmaker, there are equipments I don't buy, I would rather rent. Because it's of more value for me to rent. So
But there are certain things that if you're using certain kinds of gadgets, you get those accessories to assist you in your content creation. Say you're using your phone. Get the necessary gadgets, the necessary accessories here and there that will enhance that phone. Instead of spending that money to buy a camera, invest that money in light, invest that money in getting accessories here and there that you put together, work with your phone, and it will give you maximum utility, maximum value. This is a very short masterclass. There's very little we can cover here, but I'm excited that we're able to just do this little one here, and I hope that you can practice it. Go online, check some other stuff, learn, and just continue to create. Thank you very much. Please put your hands together for her. She's our MVP. Thank you so much.